Please take your seats. The show will be starting soon.
How do we empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more?
It starts with one.
From one employee to a team, collaborating with another team.
From one partner to their customers, to their customers' customers.
Expanding opportunity.
Earning trust. Protecting fundamental rights.
And advancing sustainability.
For our society.
Our economy. Our world.
That's the impact. That's the impact.
That's the impact each of us can have.
That's our collective opportunity.
220,000 employees.
Empowering 8 billion people on the planet.
We are in a new era of AI.
Where we will be able to build as fast as our imagination.
Unlock our creativity.
And innovate responsibly.
As we take on society's biggest challenges.
Together, we can ensure these benefits reach
every country, every industry,
and every individual.
When we empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more,
we empower the world.
All right. Hello, everyone. All right, it's fantastic to be back here in India and back here in Bengaluru. It's always unbelievable to come back and see the energy and the excitement, especially at a time like this. You know, we're perhaps entering this next phase where we're going to go from talking about AI and admiring some of the new capabilities, whether they're in infrastructure or in models, to doing things with AI that are bold and big. And that's, to me, what's really in the air when I come here and I see people excited about what's happening and what you're doing. So I want to spend, the next half hour or so just giving you at least what I see out there as the possibilities and what we at Microsoft are focused on in terms of building platforms. Because at some level, to me, Microsoft has always been fundamentally about two things. We're a platform company and we're a partner company. And even in the age of AI, that's what's going to be true. But whenever you talk about these platforms and platform shifts, I think I lost my, okay. You always need to be grounded in what's the foundational force that's driving the platform shift. In fact, when I look back even my 35 years in tech, it's been about one fundamental force, which has been Moore's Law. I always recount, Bill used to bring a bunch of us together every year, and he would just literally put the Moore's Law and then what's happening with memory and say, go fill it with software. That was just the single instruction to the entire company. And it's very true even today, right? When you think about the scaling laws that are powering AI and pre-training in particular, it's really Moore's law at work again. And it started in 2010 with DNNs and then obviously the GPUs. They inflected again, perhaps with transformers, just because of the efficiency of data parallelism with transformers. And what was happening, perhaps, of doubling of capacity every 18 months, started to double every 6 months. That's really what the scaling laws were. And by the way, there's all this debate, what's happening with scaling laws for pre-training? Will they continue? Have we hit the wall? We fundamentally believe the scaling laws are absolutely still great and will work and continue to work, but they do become harder, right? As the sizes of data become higher, the parameter counts become higher, the systems problems are bigger. So these synchronous data parallel workloads are new workloads, and so therefore that'll continue. But the more interesting thing that you are now starting to see is another scaling law with the inference time or test time compute scaling law, right? I mean, at some level, pre-training had that sampling step. This is sort of always about using that sampling step more efficiently. I think I've lost the mic. Just give me a hand mic. Just give it to me. No problem. So it's about being able to scale with even inference time that I think is going to really take this to the next level. So we're very, very excited about it. I mean, O1 and Think Hard, like to me, Copilot Think Harder has become the thing that I go to all the time. And that shows not just for sampling for additional pre-training, but to be able to use it during inference time to think harder and get you better results. So I think that these are capabilities that are just going to increase ultimately 3 things. One is this multimodal capability that we now have as the interface to all software, right? I recently set up, I guess there's this, I don't know what they call it, the action button, I think, on the iPhone. It's now set up to Copilot for me, and now I can sort of confidently speak in Hyderabadi Urdu to it, and it's beautiful. It understands me. It's like speaking to my high school buddies. And the fundamental idea that you can now have that familiar, simple interface with all of computing, I think is going to change every software category. Then you couple it with these planning and reasoning capabilities, right? So whenever you go to GitHub Copilot Workspace, right, that thing is invoking that ability to think about planning and executing that plan as a multi-step process, right? It's the beginnings of what is truly agentic behavior. And then the other side of it is to be able to stitch these things that are outside the system or outside of the model. Memory, context, tools use, and entitlements. So in fact, if anything, in the next 12 months, every developer is going to be really focused on how do I take my model and make it aware of the tools it can use, just beyond even function calling. How can I make sure it has the right understanding of its entitlements? How do I make sure it has memory and long-term memory? And that, to me, I think is what's going to truly help us create this rich tapestry of agents, right? When we think about agents, you stitch the multimodal capability, planning and reasoning, and memory and tools use in particular, plus entitlements. You can start building personal agents, team agents, or enterprise-wide and cross-enterprise agents. So that agentic world is what we are looking forward to sort of all building. Of course, at Microsoft, for us, it's never, quite frankly, about any of these technologies on their own. It's a means to the end, which is about empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. That's what, that sense of empowerment that this platform can provide, I think, is going to be the next level, and that's what we're really, really focused on. And to that end, we're building 3 platforms: Copilot, Copilot and AI stack, as well as Copilot devices. And so what I want to do is just kind of give you the broad contours of what these 3 platforms all entail. The best way to conceptualize Copilot is it's the UI for AI. So one of the ways you think about even in a very rich agentic world, remember, the AI will need to interface with us. That needs a UI layer. And that's why I think this organizing layer of Copilot becomes even more important in a world where there are many, many agents doing autonomous work. I think that's the best way to think about it. Now, the approach we have taken is to build in the Copilot into the existing workflow. One of the best examples I've seen, quite frankly, is one of the high-stakes things of knowledge work, right? So here, there's a doctor, she's getting ready for a tumor board meeting, right? Think about a tumor board meeting. It's a high-stakes meeting. That means you would have had to read all of the reports, know exactly how much time to spend on each one. So that means the creation of the agenda is a reasoning task. So it creates an agenda which knows which one is the more complicated case that needs more time. Then you go into a Teams meeting. So all these doctors are now having a conversation on all the cases. They're able to focus on the case as opposed to taking notes because there's an AI that's taking detailed notes on all of it. Then at the end of it, she's a teaching doctor, right? So she wants to be able to take what happened in the tumor board, go to class. And so that means she's able to take the notes, put it into Word, from Word to PowerPoint, go to the class. That's simple workflow, right? That doctors everywhere are doing, that has impact on lives, can be enabled with AI just being built into the workflow. So that's just a good example of sort of how to think about AI being infused into current workflow. Now let's take it to the next step. Now with pages and chat, with web and work scope, I think it's sort of completely about thinking of new types of workflows. Right? Fundamentally, I'm now able to access information, whether it's web information or it's information inside of my Microsoft 365 graph, right? One query at a time, I can go get back all the data. I can then promote that data into this interactive AI-first canvas called Pages. And once I have it in Pages, I can then use Copilot inline in Pages to keep modifying it. And I sort of use this as a metaphor where I'm thinking with AI and I'm working with my colleagues, right? So think about that. Like that's the new workflow where I think with AI, I promote things into Pages, I invite others, I collaborate with others, and by the way, AI is present even on that canvas. So chat plus Pages is going to become this new AI hub for just like how Word, Excel, PowerPoint back in the day changed how I worked. Now, chat plus Pages will be a new module that effectively enhances how you work with AI. Now, we're not obviously stopping there. The next thing that we are thinking about is, extensibility. So how do you extend AI going forward? It starts with something called Copilot Actions. For those of you who are big users of Outlook rules, which I was for a long time, until the complexity was too much. Think of it as rules for the AI age, but they don't work one app at a time. They work across the entire M365 system. So that's the beauty of action. So if you think about so much of our workflow is gathering information, distributing information. It's about connecting people to artifact, to other people, to other artifacts, right? That's a lot of what knowledge work is all about. I can now set these up essentially as Copilot actions. So that's the first extensibility. Now, of course, you can build full agents. And we ourselves are building many of these agents that have scopes, right, at group level, process level, right? You can have a project agent. We have agents that are working inside of teams, like an interpreter, like a facilitator. This is just like having an additional team member that is helping you with your tasks inside of your team. SharePoint, in fact, every SharePoint now has an agent. And so think of it as an intelligence layer on top of SharePoint that's just built in. So I just wanted to roll a video to give you a flavor for these agents that are being built in M365.
New agents in Microsoft 365 are transforming how humans and AI collaborate. Meet agents in SharePoint, which unlock high-value insights that are connected to your organization's documents. Created with just a few clicks, these agents enhance knowledge sharing. They can be customized with additional data sources in Copilot Studio and can be shared anywhere like a Teams chat. Next is the Facilitator Agent, joining meetings to manage tasks like the agenda, real-time notes, and action items, allowing the team to stay focused on the discussion. And the Facilitator Agent can also streamline communication in chats by providing real-time summaries and responding to questions so the team can focus on what matters. With the new Interpreter Agent, language barriers are a thing of the past, enabling real-time speech interpretation so everyone can speak and listen in different languages.
Thoughts from marketing about the upcoming campaign. If we get a game plan, we can aim to 내놓는 것을 목표로 할 수 있을 겁니다.
And the Project Manager Agent creates project plans, assigns tasks, and even completes them on behalf of the team, keeping everyone informed and collaborating effectively. Finally, for specialized business processes in HR and IT, the new Employee Self-Service Agent in Copilot Business Chat enables employees to get instant answers and take action, such as logging a help desk ticket. And it can be customized in Copilot Studio using pre-built workflows and more. New agents in Microsoft 365, supercharging productivity to reinvent how work gets done.
So that's just an example of essentially agents that we have built into the system. But the real exciting thing is, of course, you all being able to build agents. And that's where Copilot Studio comes in. And our vision with Copilot Studio is simple. This is the low-code, no-code tool for building agents. So think of it like when you had Excel and you could build spreadsheets. To us, building agents should be as simple as building spreadsheets. So Copilot Studio is about helping every one of us to have real agency to shape and reshape the workflows around what we are doing as knowledge work. That's essentially what we want to be able to. It's a swarm of agents around what we do that is helping us get work done, create more flow, less drudgery. And Copilot Studio, like take something like field service, right? It's as simple as first giving it a prompt, giving it the instructions on what the agent is all about. Then it's about grounding it in knowledge sources. Like in this case, it's about pointing it to the right SharePoint source. And then once you do that, it just creates an agent out of the box for you. Right? So that simplicity of being able to create agents that are essentially low-code, no-code programmable is what we're doing with Copilot Studio. So now that you have this Copilot UI for AI, you have the ability to extend it with actions, you have the ability to use agents that are built in and build your own agents. You have a complete system. Now the question is ROI and measurement. Because that's the other question, right? Which is, okay, because one of the fundamental things we want to also ensure is that there's real motivation for change. After all, what am I doing that is better, that is helping improve not only my own productivity, but my organization's outcome? And that's where this measurement comes in. And we're building out these Copilot analytics so that every individual is not just a top-down thing, right? A sales territory manager can now go in and take an output metric, something like increased sales, increased yield, and correlate it back to specific usage of all of these Copilot features. So to me, that's another one that drives the adoption cycle. So you're not waiting, but you're able to see in real time how, with increased usage, you're able to drive business results. So that's really the first platform we're building. Copilot as the UI for AI, with extensibility and measurement. Now, we're already seeing fantastic results. Inside of Microsoft, basically we are baking in double-digit strong improvements to productivity across every business process: customer service, HR self-service, IT ops, finance, supply chain. Marketing, right? I mean, think about marketing where there is, there's sophistication in buying, but there is a lot of places where there's a lot of inefficiency around content creation. There's massive amount of leverage and operating leverage we get there. So significant use cases across the length and breadth of our own company. And of course, when I come even to India and I get a chance to meet with everyone here, it's no longer, the diffusion is so fast, right? It's no longer about waiting multiple years before it becomes mainstream. I learn a lot by watching many of you deploy this at scale. In fact, this morning I had a chance to talk to folks at Cognizant. They were telling me about how they've deployed it across the entire sort of employee base. The knowledge turns. One of the things that Andy Grove way back in the 90s used to talk about was knowledge turns, which was about being able to create knowledge fast and really be able to then diffuse that knowledge, right? That's what, just like supply chain turns, people talk about them inside of retail. This is about knowledge turns in any knowledge industry. And another example was what Persistent is doing. They built a contract management, essentially agent. In fact, you can just go address it at Persistent, whatever, Contract AI, inside a Copilot. You can get access to it, and that agent is available to you throughout the entire life cycle of a contract management, where even a single change can have significant impact. So these are just couple of examples of people already deploying this Copilot system at enterprise scale. So now I want to talk about the next platform, which is the Copilot stack and the AI platform. Now, to us, we've always conceptualized and built Azure as the world's computer. We continue to be super committed to it because one of the fundamental realizations is AI doesn't sit on its own, right? It requires the entire compute stack. And so we are building that out at a worldwide level. We have 60+ regions. We have 300+ data centers around the world. In India, we're excited about all the the regions we have, right? We have Central India, South India, West India, and then we also have the capacity that we built up with Geo. So we have a lot of regional expansion happening, and I'm really, really excited today to announce the single largest expansion we've ever done in India by putting $3 billion additional dollars to expand our Azure capacity. I had a chance to meet the Prime Minister Modi ji yesterday. It was fantastic. It was great to listen to all his examples. Yeah, his vision around how he wants to drive through AI mission. But it's that combination of really the yojanas he has, the India stack, the entrepreneurial energy in this country, and the demographics, both on the consumer and the business side, that is all getting into a virtuous cycle. So that's why we feel fantastic about bringing core compute capability for the next generation AI. And so now, with infrastructure, there is, in some sense, a new formula for, quite frankly, for any country or for any company. I think of that formula as tokens per dollar per watt. That's it. Tokens per dollar per watt, right? For 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we will be talking about the correlation, quite frankly, between GDP growth in any community, in any country, in any industry, or even at a company level, fundamentally their own growth, on how efficiently are they able to drive that equation. And to that end, that means infrastructure needs to be the highest priority. And we are innovating in every layer of it, right? Think about it. At the data center level, like these data centers are just, everything from how we think about even the construction of a data center that is optimized for liquid cool AI accelerators is a new engineering feat. And so that's what we're doing. Everything from how do we then work with upstream from us with renewable energy folks to get onto the grid base load that comes to our data centers that then has the right cooling infrastructure with zero waste and zero water usage. How do we really make sure all of that gets built into at a system level? And then, of course, silicon innovation. We're innovating with NVIDIA. In fact, today, I think we have our first GB200 clusters up live in one of our data centers. Very excited about what that would mean. We are then also working with AMD. We are building out our infrastructure we are building our own silicon with Maya, all of these. In fact, Maya today is taking a lot of the customer service traffic in Microsoft.com. So we are building, I would say, world-class AI accelerator infrastructure, but the entire system stack above it, optimized for training, optimizing the kernels for inferencing. So that is significant investment and innovation that's happening through us, our partners, and so we're very excited. In fact, I think of this as a golden age for systems when it comes to innovation. Now, if you have the infrastructure, the next big consideration, in fact, today I met many partners, many customers. The first thing everybody wants to talk about is, it's fantastic, we're talking about AI, but how do I get my data in shape, right? I mean, data is the only way to create AI. It's not just for the pre-training, right? We know for RAG you need data. You need data for post-training. You need data for doing sampling, for doing inference time compute to improve pre-training. So data pipelines and data is everything. And so the first thing to do is to rendezvous the data with the cloud. And that's where we are building out our data estate such that you can bring all of your data, right? So you can bring, whether it's Snowflake, whether it's Databricks, whether it's Oracle, whether it's our own SQL, what have you, bring it to the cloud. We have fantastic operational stores that are being plumbed for AI, right? Whether it's Cosmos DB or whether it is SQL Hyperscale or Fabric for analytic workloads. All of these are AI ready. In fact, if you look at even ChatGPT, they are some of the biggest users of Cosmos DB. Because they're stateful applications, right? Where is all the user state of ChatGPT? It's in Cosmos. So to me, the data layer is a super important layer, and we are doing everything to make sure that we can help get the data in shape for you to be able to then use in conjunction with these models and to build models. Those are the two things, right? There is models that are being trained on the data, but you're also doing things like retrieval augmented generation using data. And so that's sort of why the proximity on the data gravity is a huge, locality of data will matter. Now, once you have the infrastructure and data, the third thing you have to do is to have the AI app server. In fact, if you look back, you know, when the web happened, what did we do? We built IIS as the app server. When the cloud happened, what did we do? We started building the cloud app, you know, native app server. Same thing with mobile. So every generation has required an app server. And that's what we're doing with Foundry. And with Foundry, it starts with models, right? We have the rich, and obviously with OpenAI and OpenAI's innovation, now with O1, we're excited about what's going to come with O3, with obviously 4.0. All of that's available, plus all the open source models, right? Whether it's from Llama or Mistral. We have industry-specific models. Models that are being built out of India, where people are building for Indic languages, for India's vertical specific needs. It's fantastic to see the amount of innovation that people are doing around models all over the world. And so we want to have the richest model catalog, and some of the more popular models will be available even as models as service, right? So they'll just be underneath a facade of an API that you can then go access. Now, once you have the models, you want to deploy these models. You want to be able to fine-tune these models. You want to be able to distill these models. You want to be able to do evaluations on these models. You want to be able to do groundedness tests. You want to be able to do safety. All of that, instead of building them all separately, we're building them all into the app server. In fact, evals are going to be the most important thing. So even for me, the guidance I give our teams is simple, which is stay on the frontier of the new model, and then make sure that you have agility in the app server layer so that you can keep moving with models, right? You'll use the first, like the latest sample, then you will cost optimize it, latency optimize it, and you'll start fine-tuning it for your specific use cases for evals, right? So that's sort of the loop that you are constantly going through. And that's the idea behind Foundries, to just streamline all of that. Fantastic momentum again in India when I look at customers who are already deploying this, using it. In fact, lots of good feedback I'm gaining from lots of people. People are pushing on even these multi-agent type of deployments. So we're learning a lot, quite frankly, from some of the ambitious things that you all are doing. And we are definitely very, very grounded in how we are going to progress on that roadmap. I think next year, we'll not be talking as much about models, but we're going to be talking about model orchestration, model evals, and how you're able to deploy these model-forward applications. That, I think, is going to be the big shift across the industry. And so today, I mean, like, when I saw the folks at Bank of Baroda, they showed me three things, right? They showed three agents. They built a self-service agent. They built for the new customers. They built it basically a relationship manager agent. They also then built an agent for their own employees. I had a chance to see this fantastic startup, ClearTax. I guess I should be able to do my taxes on that, which is just simple. On a WhatsApp, you go submit your receipts, I guess, and then you get refunds. I love that part in particular. And then I had a chance to see the ICICI Lombard folks. And one thing I had not realized in healthcare in India, for example, you don't have standardized claims forms. So each one is a novel, different entry. And so someone has to sort of go read it. That's where I think you can improve. Like, you think about any time you improve healthcare efficiency, that improves the economy, right? Because you then have assurance of your insurance being taken care of. Make My Trip, I had a chance to meet with the team, and they're doing some phenomenal high ambition work of being able to take one of the more sophisticated industries and verticals around travel, and really, whether it's hotels or whether it's air or whether it's other transportation, how do you really have a multi-agent framework that really they can deploy? But one of the other things is it's not just about the broad big companies that are, or startups that are doing it, but it's sort of the diffusion rate of this technology in India is what's exciting. So to that end, I just wanted to roll out, I just wanted you to see the video from the cooperative Baramati. Go ahead and roll out the video.
In India, we are producing some of the major crops in large quantity like sugarcane, wheat, rice, pulses, and cotton. But when we compare our yield with the other developed countries, it is too low. Soil erosion is the major problem in India today because of overuse of pesticides and fertilizer.
आणि नेमकं आपला उन्हाळ्यामध्ये पाण्याची कमतरता पडते. त्याच्यामुळे आणि उत्पन्न कमी झालेलं आहे.
LDT Baramati is working for the agriculture community for more than 5 decades. This trust was started to uplift the farmers who were very poor, had no resources. Through this, we have changed the life of millions of farmers.
Agri-Pilot.ai allows farmers to avoid guesswork and use science to give the ground truth to make the right decisions and make them successful.
In this project, we have selected 1,000 progressive farmers from across the Maharashtra. We have installed weather stations, sensors in the soil, and provided satellite support to all the farmers. We are collecting real-time data from the soil every day.
Agri-Pilot.ai uses Microsoft Azure Data Manager for Agriculture for making the decisions. It's running more than 20+ algorithms that can lead to accurate results based on the historical pattern. Azure OpenAI allows the farmer to ask the questions in local languages, which can be delivered on their WhatsApp.
They are precisely using irrigation, fertigation, and pesticide practices in their farm.
म्हणजे पिकात डायरेक्ट आपल्याला लगेचच लक्षात येतं. पीक तर अगदी जोमानं आलेलं आहे. फुटव्यांची संख्या पण वाढलेली आहे आणि ह्याची रोपांची म्हणजे उंची पण वाढलेली आहे. तर माझ्या पूर्ण क्षेत्रावरती मी अशा पद्धतीनं ऊसाचं पीक लावण्याचा ठरवलेला आहे की जेणेकरून माझा खर्च कमी होईल आणि उत्पन्न जास्त येईल.
To me, it sort of really connects all the dots, right? It sort of connects the dots between even all the technologies we have been building, right? From Azure IoT, the data connectivity back to a data plane, and then to be able to use something like Azure AI, but ultimately to empower a farmer to be able to do their farming with higher yields. That, I think, in some sense, speaks to the power of this technology and what we can do with it. Now, the last layer I want to talk about, if you have infra, you have data, you have the AI app server, is tools. Now, I always go back, Microsoft started as a tools company. We continue to be super passionate about our tooling. With GitHub, it's fantastic to see what's happening, right? We have now 17 million members of GitHub in India. It's the second largest community next to the United States. In fact, it's projected to be the largest. I guess I forget the year. I think 2028. Yeah, so I can't wait 3 years from now. 2028 is when the crossover will happen, where India will have more developers on GitHub. It's just exciting to see that. Now, we also have contributions from India to AI projects that are just second to the United States. And so it's fantastic to see the active involvement of the developer community out of India in making progress on all the open source projects on GitHub when it comes to AI. It just speaks to, again, the talent there is and the energy there is in this community. Now, we're continuing to make great progress on GitHub Copilot. One of the features that I was looking forward to, we now have, which is the multi-file edits. Right, so first we started with continuations, we then had chat, we brought continuations plus chat together, and then brought it to multi-file. That's fantastic, so that I can do repo level edits. Now, the other thing we are also doing is bringing a free tier. In fact, we just launched it in December, and I think in India it's sort of like the place where it's really taken off. We're very, very excited about bringing to VS Code GitHub Copilot free tier and seeing that now broadly getting distributed. The feature or the product area, back, I forget now, 2019, now or maybe not 2020, I think is when I first saw GitHub Copilot. That's when my own conviction on what LLMs can do completely changed when I started seeing it. Similarly, when I first saw GitHub Copilot Workspace is when I felt like time had come for us to make the next leap beyond chat to real agents. Because that's what it is, right? GitHub Copilot Workspace is the first agentic sort of piece where you now can take a GitHub issue, create a spec, which you can edit, you can create a plan, you can then edit the plan, and then you can see it execute across the full repo. And to show all of this, I wanted to invite up my colleague Karan up on stage. Karan?
Thanks, Satya. While Copilot offers contextualized AI assistance in your developer environment, Copilot Workspace is the next evolution, an agentic AI-native developer platform that helps you turn your ideas into code using natural language. So let's see it in action with our computer G. All right, we have an application here that lets us sell sporting equipment online, including some cool cricket gear. However, there's no way to add new products through an admin page. Let's see if we can build one using Copilot Workspace. I have an issue here that describes my requirement, which is an admin page to add new products. Usually, I'd create a new branch and start thinking about how to implement it myself. But with Copilot Workspace, I can get started right here from an issue. So Copilot Workspace gets to work right away on how to solve this issue. I'm in control, so I can make edits to the plan as needed. With the new Brainstorm agent, you can use Copilot Workspace iteratively. Based on the context, Brainstorm shares a few suggested questions to get started, or I can even ask my own. On the admin page we are creating, I'd also like to add a requirement to upload product images. So let's ask Brainstorm with Copilot Workspace and see if we can make it happen. And this time, I'll ask it in Hindi. All right, and there it is. Just like that, it's listed a few ideas for me. Use a file input element, a drag and drop area, or a third-party library. Since I already have an existing component, I'm going to use that. I can click Add to Task and add it to my context right over here. Looks good, so I will click Generate Plan to move forward. So Workspace then generates a list of what changes to make in which files. And when I'm ready, I can ask Copilot Workspace to implement the plan and make the necessary changes. And there it is. That's nice. Copilot Workspace has made changes to multiple files, including writing a whole new page. With Copilot Workspace, you can now keep iterating on your plan and implementation by asking for a revision. Let's ask Copilot for a revision. I'd like to ask it to show me a preview of the image I upload. And this time, I'm going to ask it in Kannada. I'll say image upload ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅದರ preview ತೋರಿಸಿ, and there it is. Awesome, right? Copilot Workspace understood what I meant. It updated the plan and also implemented all the necessary changes. That's great, right? All right, now before we proceed further, let's run some tests first to make sure my code doesn't turn into a horror story in production. We made some great enhancements to the commands you can perform in Copilot Workspace. Build, test, and run are pretty common scenarios, and I have the commands configured here. I can execute the test command, which will run the test for me right here within Copilot Workspace. Looks like my test failed. My bad. I thought my code didn't need tests. But hey, it's Copilot to the rescue. I can ask Copilot Workspace to fix this for me. The build and repair agent within Copilot Workspace comes up with a solution on how to fix this error, which I can apply. And then it goes back and makes the necessary edits, in this case, modifying the test. So let me go back and then rerun the test, hoping that I'm as good as a tester I think I might be. And there, it all works. Great. So now I think my feature might be ready. And I want to see a preview of my app. I can execute the run command right here within Copilot Workspace, which will bring up a development server that's accessible right over here. And I can open up a preview of it. And there's my admin page, along with the image upload functionality that I needed, completely written using Copilot Workspace. So in the past few minutes, we went from an idea described on an issue, brainstormed with Copilot Workspace, implemented code, and also fixed errors, all while working in natural language. And this is the AI native developer environment, an agentic workflow that moves as fast as your creativity. Thanks, everyone. Back to Satya.
You know, it's really exciting to see the progress in the dev tool chain. In fact, as of today, there is no more of a wait list for Copilot Workspace. We're very excited about that. And to me, even for me personally, perhaps the biggest game changes were Windows 365, where I have my dev desktop, plus GitHub Copilot and Copilot Workspace, plus code spaces. You put those things together, put me anywhere in the world, I'm a happy person. So this has just been a wonderful sort of change in terms of dev productivity everywhere. So the last thing I want to talk about is the Copilot devices. We talked so much about all this innovation and infrastructure, right? Starting with silicon in the cloud. Now that's coming to the edge. We are very excited about the work we're doing with Qualcomm, AMD, Intel, when it comes to the NPUs. In fact, today, Jensen even talked about some of the next generation GPUs that are coming to regular PCs, which will be able to really run the entire NVIDIA stack locally. And so we are very excited about what's happening with these Copilot and Copilot PCs broadly, and even traditional PCs with GPUs. But we're also excited about the fundamentals, right? When I use my Copilot PC, having the battery life last all through the day, having now these new AI features that are built in, like Copilot being built in. Third-party developers are beginning to start using it, whether it's Adobe or CapCut or others. So it's a real beginning of a new platform on the edge that's going to be as exciting as what's happening in the cloud. And in fact, we don't think of this as the old client server, right? This is not about disconnected local models. It's about hybrid AI. The idea that you'll now build applications where you will be able to do a bunch of the stuff offload on the local NPU as helpers, classify in here, calling LLMs in the cloud. So any application will truly be a hybrid application. It's not about running locally or running all in the cloud. And that, I think, is what we have looked forward to. Let's play the video to just give you a flavor for everything that's happening with Copilot devices. Now, in order to really ensure that these three platforms get broadly distributed, broadly used, the key consideration is trust. Trust around security, privacy, and AI safety. And so we have a set of principles, but more importantly, these principles and initiatives are grounded in making real engineering progress so that we can effectively ensure trust all along the way, right? I mean, take something like security. How do you protect against adversarial attacks, like, say, prompt injection? So that's the key thing that we're building in. Take privacy in AI. What does it mean to think about confidential computing, not just for the CPUs, but in GPUs, right? So that's what we now have with everyone, whether it's NVIDIA, AMD, or Intel. Or when it comes to AI safety, right? One of the big things people talk about is hallucinations. How do we ensure groundedness? So a groundedness service with eval support is one way for us to make real progress on AI safety. So we're really taking trust as a first-class engineering consideration, having a set of principles, but more importantly, translating those principles into essentially the tool chain and runtimes that allow us as developers to build more trustworthy AI. Now, I want to close where I started, which is our mission to empower everybody. But before I go there, I think the thing that I want to talk about is all this is about doing AI business transformation, right? Ultimately, it's about changing customer service, or whether it's about changing your marketing or sales or your internal operations. At the end of the day, it's about business results. The three considerations I would submit are around Copilot as the UI for AI. It is about being able to sort of make sure you're thinking about the app server as the platform around which you build your AI applications, which is for us Foundry, and then your data in Fabric. So these three perhaps are the three key design decisions that need to get made, more so than any given model, because models will come and go every year, every month you'll have some new model. But the three foundational design choices is really what's the UI layer and how do your agents really interface with that UI layer? How do you think about your data and how do you think about that app server that in fact gives you agility on top of models, right? Those are the three considerations. And that's what hopefully you get through what we have done throughout the platforms. Our mission to empower every person and every organization right here in India is what drives us. And to that end, ultimately, it is about being able to ensure that the human capital of this country is able to continue to scale to take advantage of the immense opportunity and potential this technology has. And so that's why I'm very excited to announce today that our commitment, which we have always had, now is to train 10 million people in India around AI skills by 2030. And to me, the thing that is always most important is to not think of the skilling in the abstract, but to see the skills translated into impact right here, one community at a time, one industry at a time. And so I leave you with a video of already the impact all of the skilling is happening here in India. And thank you all so very much, and thanks for all the great work you're doing on all the platforms. Thank you.
मेरे विलेज में कोई सीखने का न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज लर्न करने का कोई एक्सेस नहीं है.
I was born visually impaired. I was always depending upon the help of sighted friends or parents.
I attend the program and I gain the more technology knowledge. I learn various things like Python and about AI as well as MS Copilot.
When I joined Vision Empower training, I learned digital literacy and AI tools.
मैं एक सरकारी कर्मचारी हूँ, मैं एक गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय हूँ यहाँ. बेसिक कंप्यूटर स्किल एंड एआई टूल्स विषय पर जो मैंने ट्रेनिंग प्राप्त की, ग्रोथ हुई है, एफिशिएंसी बढ़ी है.
If I am stuck somewhere, MS Copilot helps me solving the problem.
With AI, I can be more independent.
वैसे मुझे मतलब पत्रों को मैनुअली उनको पढ़कर और उनको समराइज करना पड़ता था, और एआई टूल्स का प्रयोग करके बड़े पत्रों को, चूँकि एआई टूल जो होता है वो समराइज कर देता है, तो उसमें किसी बिंदु के छूटने की संभावना न्यूनतम हो जाती है.
Now I got this internship in a multinational company as a developer.
Was offered this job to make STEM education accessible for visually impaired teachers and students.
टाइम पर हो जाने से, समय पर जो मतलब पत्र आते हैं उनके व्यवहार में आने से शासकीय कार्य जो हैं वो सुचारू ढंग से चलते रहते.
It's a proud feeling to become an engineer.
They provided this training and now I have this confidence. I am able to do this.
Please welcome